Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. Yesterday I had Ross over and we worked on his auction ficus, and I dragged Ross away from working on bonsai for a special project. The project that I got Ross to help me with yesterday was a case of bad luck turning into good luck. The tires of my car, my Matrix, I came out the one morning and one front tire was totally flat and there were like slits in the sidewall. I think, I'm not sure, but it looks like someone punctured the sidewall of the tire. So both of the front tires were pretty worn anyway, so I thought, well, I'll get 2 new front tires. So I ordered them. They were supposed to take a week to get in, and then they phoned me like the next day and said they're in. And I thought, oh, okay, great. So I made an appointment. I took the car in to get the new tires put on the front. And so I drove up to the tire place, which is in a mall, the only mall in town. And I thought, well, I'll look around the mall while I'm waiting for the tires to get put on the car. And so I went to the garden center at Canadian Tire, and I was looking through it, and then I came into their greenhouse area. They have a temporary greenhouse set up where they keep all their herbs and some of the tropical trees. And inside was this giant planter with this giant ficus in it, and I went, wow, it was huge. And so I asked the person, I said, is that ficus for sale? And they said, well, the mall is getting rid of all the ficus that used to have down the aisleway in the mall. And I've seen those ficus many times. They've been in that mall for, I think, 32 years, ever since the mall was built. They're in pots. And I always walk by them, and at one time I even tried to buy one of them. I phoned the management of the mall up and I said, are any of those ficus for sale in the mall? And they said, no, they're not for sale. So he said that the mall is getting rid of all their ficus. They're cutting back on expenses. They don't want to be bothered watering them anymore or taking care of them. So I said, well, where are they now? And they said, oh, they're in a storage room. And I said, do they get any light? And the guy said, no, they're just in storage. And I thought, oh, okay. And I said, well, I would be interested in getting them if they're available. And he gave me the guy's name and number to call. And so I called him on the Friday, and he said, yeah, give me a call Monday morning and I'll show you the trees. So the one I saw in the greenhouse at Canadian Tire, that was this fellow's daughter was interested in getting one for her house. And the father said, I think when she sees the size of it, she won't want it because it was really big. It's the height of me. And yeah, just really giant. I'll show you them later on. So I gave them a call. Ross came over on the Monday, and I gave them a call. And eventually I heard back from the owner of the mall. And he said, yes, just go to the mall, give me a call, and I'll bring someone out to meet you. And so a fellow came out, and we went to this storage room in the mall, and in the back were all these giant ficus. There was 4 big ones, and there was maybe 10 smaller ones. And they said they just wanted to get rid of the bigger ones. They're going to keep the smaller ones. And I said, okay. And I said, originally the owner said you can have 1. And I said, I would be interested in taking all of the 4 big ones if that's possible, because I know people in the club would probably like them. I hope anyway. So they said, yeah, you can take all 4 of the big ones. So Ross and I loaded the first one in the truck, and it took up the entire bed of the truck. And we managed to squeeze 2 in the first trip. They were the smallest ones. Took them home, came back to the mall, picked up 1 more, which took the whole back of the truck up, took that home. And then we picked up the last one, which was the one that was in the greenhouse in Canadian Tire. The daughter was there. We met her, and she said, yeah, it's too big for my house. I can't handle a plant that big. So we said, and she said, it's yours. So we came back and got that one too. So I got 4 big ficus that are 32 years old for free. It was amazing. It was, as Ross said, it was the deal of a lifetime. It was just fantastic. So all these ficus are a clump style. They're not a single tree. They're just a group of you know, probably a pot full of either cuttings or small trees put together, and they've just grown and grown, and they're big. So without any further ado, let's go have a look at them. So here they are. Here's a look at the 4 ficus. They're very large. I even had to find a spot in the backyard to put them. They're so big. Let's go in now and see the details of each tree. So here's tree number 1. They're all a clump style. So here's the size of it. You can see my hand. So there's a lot of kind of interwoven trunks that form like a solid mass now. Now they're not fused to the point where it's like where it looks like a single trunk, but they're kind of getting close to that. There's a bit of bark caught in there. Yeah, so generally, you know, it's quite a wall of fused trunks. So pretty amazing. And you can see, you know, the root base is pretty good on them too. And I did water them, and the water's draining through the pot really well. So they're definitely not, you know, too root bound. I'm sure they are. I'm sure this whole pot is probably filled with roots, but so I think in future, you know, they're gonna have to get the big saw cut, the big reduction up top, and then hopefully they'll survive. So that's tree number 1. Let's go look at tree number 2. Now this is the one that Ross wants because it is the smallest tree in the whole group here. So again, multi-trunks. Not bad looking. Looks really good from this view. Yeah, so really interesting. Some aerial roots there. And you can see again, you know, it's pretty good fusion on the trunks. And big canopies, giant canopies on these things. Tree number 3 here is kind of a lot of trunks in a row. You can see how wide it is at the base. Good roots. There's a few trunks that are kind of off by themselves here. So yeah, again, very close to total fusion on these trunks, but not quite there yet. But very interesting. And again, you know, this big giant canopies on these things. Here's tree number 4 now, and this is the one, to me it kind of looks like a wall of ficus. You can see it's quite wide, and from the other view it's more skinny. So it's like a long wall of ficus trees. Really cool. And again, you know, almost fused together, but just not quite. So amazing, just amazing trees. You can imagine, you know, cutting it off, creating a bonsai out of these trunks, keeping some of these upper branches, and something quite spectacular, I think. I'm very excited to get working on them. I had a look at all the trees, and I think tree number 1 is my favorite. It has a big, round, kind of thick mass of trunks, some nice low branches, so I think it has good potential as a very large bonsai. Here's a look at the tree I'm going to keep. Tree number 1. I'm just keeping one of these 4 trees. Ross is taking one. I think Manuela's taking one. So I still have one available. I don't have room to keep all of them, that's for sure. So what I'm going to do, there is a possibility of frost coming in the next couple of days. It's going to be, I think, 2 degrees out, 2 degrees above freezing, which it's unlikely we'll get frost, but I'm going to protect them under the shade of the big tree here. That way, at least if we do get frost, it won't hit the ficus here. I'll protect them the best I can. My plan for this tree, I don't think I'll do any root work now. I think I'm just going to reduce the top, and then in wintertime I'm going to store it in the basement, in the cool basement. I'll have a grow light above it and keep it, you know, fairly cool, kind of dormant until spring, and then in spring it'll go out, hopefully get really vigorous, and maybe do the root work, you know, midsummer then.
So that is a look at the 4 ficus, the trees that kept Ross and I very busy yesterday getting them back here safe and sound at home. Yeah, so that's the new project, is giant ficus. Oh my goodness, they're big. Super big.
I watered the trees yesterday, but I'll give them another water today. I know with root-bound trees in pots that it can be wet on top and the roots at the bottom of the pot can be totally dry. So I'm going to give it a good soaking. We are supposed to get rain, I think, tonight or tomorrow, so that'll give them another good soaking. Should help them out a lot. All right, here I go with the water now. You can see the water is pooling up a bit, but it drains through eventually. It's not too bad. You can see it, the water level dropping. Lower, lower, and then there it goes. So that'll drain through the pot, getting more oxygen in there, hydrating those lower roots, I hope. So I'll do all 4 trees. When we pulled the trees out of the storage room, there's quite a coating of dust on top of all the leaves. So yesterday I gave them a good spray, and today I sprayed them again just to wash that dust off. Get those leaves working. They don't get a lot of sun here, but they get morning sun and a bit of diffused light in the afternoon. So they're used to being in a mall, which I think it had skylights, but not that many. Certainly the skylights weren't over top of the trees. They were just kind of randomly placed along the aisleway, and the trees were just wherever. So I don't think they've ever, like, these are 32 years old, and they're really not that big for a 32-year-old ficus. If this had good light and good watering and fertilization, it would be 10 times this size probably. But, you know, they're a good size. I think they're just small enough that we can turn them into really, really cool bonsai. I'm sure you'll be seeing lots more of these trees in the future. I'll try and keep updates on all 4 of them, track where they go and what gets done to them. So yeah, hopefully all 4 will survive and become beautiful giant ficus bonsai in the future. That is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.